Dane, how the hell are you on this wonderful, beautiful Monday morning?
I'm doing good. We traveled this weekend, so I was out of town last week on a business thing, and then wife flew in to spend the weekend with me down in Miami, and got back on Sunday. So I had a decent little time down there, and
Nice.
glad to be
Did you go
home.
to did you go to the
Go ahead.
beach? Did you go to the beach in Miami?
We went to the beach in like one spot, but we were the hotel we were at. I thought it was advertised as like beach on the beach, and it seemed like it's really more on the beach access, which was a little odd to
Uh,
me. So and it's a big nice place. I'm not going to say who it was, but it came across well. It was just different than a lot of the we've been to all inclusives. We had a place,
right.
condo that was on the beach. So or even when we used to go out to Dana Point, we stayed at what Surf and Sand, which is like right on the beach kind of deal.
Oh,
So
dude, that's still to this. That's still one of my favorite hotels. It's not even that it's the nicest hotel in the world, but just that the surf and sand. So, all of the listeners, if you get a chance, you're down in Dana Point. I think that's actually in Laguna Beach, but anyhow, that same area. But like, if you're down there, go to the surf and sand. That hotel just
it's
it's
I would
cool.
have to agree. It is one of my favorite hotels I've ever been to as well.
Yeah, and
Um,
which is weird because there's definitely I've been to much nicer hotels.
yeah.
It's not that it's a bad hotel; it's still a really nice hotel, but it's like it's just something about that hotel. I
I
don't
was
know
gonna
what it
say
is.
when I like to, if I'm on the beach, open my windows out or balcony doors and hear the water and all that, and it's great there for that, for that.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Uh,
right on it. They remodeled it, so it's last time I was there, maybe 6 months ago. They were just starting, so I don't know what they were all doing to it, but it was like full. When you look, I stayed there about 6 months ago. Well, maybe it was closer to a year ago, and then last time I was through in Dana Point area and drove past it, it was like full remodel. Like it was.
wow.
Like you couldn't even, that really steep pitch that goes into the driveway, like that.
Yeah.
That was closed. You couldn't even get in right there, and so I'm like, oh, interesting. So yeah, so who knows what they're turning and what they're doing to it? So maybe they're going to improve some things. I don't know. To be
I don't know, but I really like it. So it'd be, if you said to me, "What are you going to improve?" And maybe memory clouds over, the little things because I liked it a lot, right, the whole thing. So
yeah,
and
that's
they
a
got
great
the little
hotel.
restaurant down there on the beach. I mean, it's a great
Uh-huh.
place. Miami is just not really me and my wife's town.
Mm.
We've been there a couple times, and Miami is like a little bougie for my taste, is what I'll say. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, just the
I,
overall feeling of it is, and
I agree 100%.
I guess I'm a little more of a, drive my truck and eat my Mexican kind of guy.
Uh huh.
Uh, that my Mexican food from down the street than I am just everything being whatever it is down there. I mean, and if you're down there, I mean, I guess bougie. That's it, right?
That's a
Me and my
great
wife
word for it. Yeah, that's a
aren't that
great
fancy,
word for it.
you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's very pretentious there too.
yeah,
Like it's
that's
just very, yeah, it's very the high energy. Some people freaking love it there, and I know the people that love it there, it's like they love it there. It's like their
yeah,
place. But if you're not that vibe, it just doesn't match with yeah. Like it was
yeah,
like yeah,
and I think it's just not my cup of tea, right? And I've been to Vegas, I've been to other places that feel sort of like that, and I like it. Like I like Vegas. Vegas,
yeah,
I enjoy it every time I go down there, So it's and I usually go for UFC events, not for gambling, but I mean, still,
right.
you go a couple days and it's a lot of fun. So I don't know, it's just not my favorite place to be, but I mean, we had a great time while we were there. Nothing bad about it. And if you like that energy, it's great for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and
Wasn't that so?
like you,
I think that's what's so cool about the United States of America is the fact that you can go to almost every state has a different and some of them are so dramatically different than other states. It's like you're in a different country. Like
oh
you
yeah,
literally go to these places and it's like everything's different. The energy's different, the atmosphere's different, the people are different. That's very, I don't know, it's kind of cool. I think that's actually kind of a cool feature to the U.S.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen some Europeans talk about they didn't realize how big the United States was, right?
Right.
Because they've got their country, and you can go across it in a couple hours,
Yep.
certainly a day, and then you go to the United States where you can drive for days and not get out of the country. And like you say, huge, massively different zones and temperature and people and
Hmm.
cultures. I mean,
Yep.
I think that Miami beach culture is obviously much different than the deep South culture or
Yeah.
Vegas or DC or New York. I mean, or Boston. I mean, we've got all these different areas. So, like I say, there's a ton to see in the United States if you want it.
Yeah, there is for sure. Well, good, man. I'm glad. You know what? And I think this will transition great into our conversation because if you don't handle what we're going to talk about today, then you never get yourself the opportunity to be able to take the weekend, a extended weekend, and go to explore this place we love so much, right? Go live in this place. But Shane, you and I were talking this morning, what do we want to do this show on? And if you haven't listened to the last couple shows, we did a two-part show on intake, right, on kind of the sales marketing side, and really, we wanted to dive deeper into that kind of tactical, some things you can actually use, and that's where we came up with the list, right,
Right.
and the list. What is this list, right? And if you're new to business owner, this is a kind of a word you might hear people talk about, but what is this list, right? When I say list, because it's pretty significant.
It is, and I define the list as anybody who ever touches your business. Period.
Yeah.
Right. Those are all the people I want on my list, and the list is generally your database of whomever, whatever you're going to use your screening criteria. But I think it should be everybody who touches your business
Yeah.
who is there for your outbound marketing. Right. And when I say outbound marketing, I mean your Merry Christmas, your birthday cards if you're doing those, your monthly newsletter, weekly newsletter, whatever you're doing there, or any kind of updates, or even just who you send out. I mean, I know people, not law firm owners, but other people who send lists out like, hey, here's our special to their whole
Yeah.
list. And some people would disagree on who needs to go on the list. But I mean, to me, that's your marketing list. And
Yeah.
it's important to start building that because as your business goes on and on, those are people who've already had some kind of interaction with you. So
Mhm.
they're, and you've got that, so it's much cheaper to market to them, and they probably like you better than some random stranger out on the street somewhere. At least we
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah. At some point, they basically raised their hand and said, "Hey, I want you to communicate with me
Right.
in some way, shape, or form or another." I'm gonna give you an example, which is I'm going through it right now with someone who doesn't have a list, and how interesting that has, when I'm seeing how bad this was for them, right? And this is in real estate, right? So we just moved from Hawaii, right? We're just moved here. I'm staying in my parents' house as we're looking for homes, right? We were looking for a realtor, right? Well, who do we who we use? And I'm trying to. This is going to tell you, this is like crazy. I'm trying to remember the name of the realtor we used to buy our last house. Couldn't remember her name. I'm
Yeah.
like, it was, and she was great. She was great. She was so helpful. She finagled some deals. She was a great negotiator. Like, it was amazing. She was amazing to work with. Could not remember her name. I had received zero communication with her since we closed on the house, and it was years ago, right? So it wasn't like it was last week, and so she was amazing, no communication whatsoever, which means I was definitely not on a list for her,
Right.
right?
And
Even though not only did I was showed interest in buying a house, but I'm probably, as a typical human being, we live like every 3 to 5 years you move to a different
right.
location, which means you're getting even if you're not moving, you're refinancing, which means there's some transaction going to happen. But this move thing, like, meaning I'm a very viable client if you can keep me engaged for
Yeah.
probably 4 or 5 homes throughout my
Yeah.
lifetime. Which, if you're a realtor, like, okay, so this realtor doesn't do that, and so we get here, and I can't remember her name, so we just start searching. We get referred to someone else. We get referred to this other person. Great guy. His name's Jeff. He's an amazing guy. We're working with Jeff. Love him. I don't. And then we were up looking at houses, and I remembered my old realtor's name, and I'm like, oh shit, that was her name, but it was too late.
Yeah.
Right. So I look at this, and it's not like we're looking at a small home. So there's a pretty large size commission that this new realtor is now going to make that she could have had, but she didn't even get the opportunity to sell us anything because she didn't have a list.
And it
And I
wouldn't have
look
even
at,
been a hard sell. It would have been an easy
no.
sell because you had a positive interaction with her. Everything went well,
Yep.
and it's easy. You already know her, so you
Yep.
just ping her and be like, "Hey, I'm looking for a house again. Can you do it?" And you probably would have signed with her immediately.
immediate. I wouldn't even have given it a second thought. And you know what's crazy is after I remembered her name, I looked up on my phone. I have her phone number. I have her
Yeah.
freaking cell phone number. So it would. It's just she and that to keep me engaged would have been. I could have gotten a monthly email about some random thing about houses. Maybe she's going to send me some cool thing about houses. Some some big that wouldn't have taken a lot. And all of a sudden there was no sale there. So that's one side of it is the fact that I didn't buy from her again. But there's a bigger side to that. How many people do you think I referred to her?
Yeah. Or could have referred to her. I mean, you probably could have
Yeah,
referred 4 or 5, 6 people to her.
easily could have referred. Didn't
Yeah.
refer anyone because she was not on my mind anymore.
Eh,
And now all of a sudden I don't know who she is. So when someone starts talking about buying a house, she's so far removed from my mind that I'm like I don't even know who I'd refer to you. I
Yeah.
don't even know who you'd work with, right? I'm like because I don't know anybody,
And,
right? And
and
so
I was going to say that's the issue we run into with lawyers. They say,
yep,
well, if I do a great job, they'll just remember who I am. And it's absolute garbage. And
yep,
it I don't want to say it never happens, but most of the time it doesn't because people have their own lives to do. They're not worried about some lawyer. And
yep,
and think about, I mean, even in your own questions as a lawyer, we get clients like I do personal injury, right? We talk about the car accidents, and frequently we
yep,
ask people, "Hey, you have been in any other prior wrecks?" Yeah, I have. When? 6 years ago, 5 years ago, sometimes 2 years ago. Great. Did the lawyer that handled that? Did they do a good job? Yeah, they did. And the question always in my mind is, well, why didn't you hire them? Well, I know the
yeah,
answer. They forgot who they were, or they drifted away. I mean, a lot of times we'll say, "Who was the lawyer?" They're like, "I don't know. I can't remember."
yep.
Because no communication, no outreach on the lawyer's team whatsoever.
Yeah. Let me give you another bad example. I'm full of them.
Okay.
So and this was one that I did. Right. We held an event and it was this great, awesome event. And we had a lot of people. We had over 1,000 people show up to this event, somewhere around there. I'm probably exaggerating the number, but it was a lot of people. And we had them fill out this little card.
Mhm.
And in this card, it was kind of qualifying them for at the time we were in the real estate space and we did mortgages, right? So we're trying to qualify them for that. And we got these cards and we sat there at the very end of the event and we're going through the cards. It was myself, my brother, and one of our other partners. And we're sitting there going through these cards. And if they were not qualified, if we didn't think we could sell them right now, like right now, if they were not a lead for right now, today, we literally traded two stacks. One was a stack for, hey, these are potential leads right now. And the other was, these are not leads right now. And guess what we did with the stack of leads not right now?
I bet you threw it in the trash.
Right in the garbage can. We literally threw hundreds and hundreds. We had names, we had email addresses, and phone numbers of people who had said, yes, communicate with me. They had said, yes. Now, that's the most ludicrous thing that we do, especially in the attorney space as well. People don't always need an attorney until they need an attorney,
Right.
right? You don't know if you're in a PI space, like you don't know when you're going to get in a wreck. But when you do, who are you going to call? Right?
Yeah.
The person that is on a billboard that you happen to see, or the one that you got some relationship with them at some point who's been communicating with you monthly, a newsletter, giving you some updates on the legal climate and the new things that they need to be concerned about in your area, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's the person that you end up calling. And it's so funny because we were young and we were young and dumb. And we threw away, not knowing it, literally hundreds of thousands on probably millions of dollars. Actually, for sure, millions of dollars over time,
Yeah.
right? As these clients, maybe they weren't a buyer today, but they would have been five years from now. Maybe they're not going to sign with you as an attorney today, but they would have 5 years from now. So I wanted to give you like a couple examples of how people screw this up because it's easy to screw it up. And most businesses do. And this is actually good news for you guys because most of your competitors are bad at this.
Oh yeah. And like, the similar thing though, right? Like you threw the stack in the trash. Lawyers do this all the time with their team when people call and either they don't hire them
Mhm.
or they're like, "Oh, we don't do that kind of law." And they just, send it on, throw it away. They
Yep.
don't add it to their list because they're like, "Well, why would that person hire me? We don't really have a relationship." But you do have a relationship. You're the first person that reached out to solve this issue.
Yep.
And you reached out to solve it. Now you weren't able to solve it, but honestly, if your referral process or your turn down process is good and nice and kind and caring, it doesn't matter that they didn't hire you that or hire you this time. I
Yep.
mean, or you couldn't help them here. I used to, I mean, I go back to it. I had a person who worked in my office. She was great at turning people down and saying, "Oh, Shane can't help you, but let me see if I can find you somebody else who can." And she would give them a name or two, and I would get thank you notes like, "Hey, she was so nice to me. She took the time to listen to me. She couldn't help, but it's great. I'd recommend you guys to anybody." Right? If the rest of your team is as good as her on a case they can help, holy cow, you must be wonderful. I mean, those were letters I got. All of those people, should go on your list
Yep.
because they've reached out. Uh,
Yep. And
yeah,
all it takes, even, and this is what we'll get weird too about that, and we'll think, well, they have somebody else. Well, even if they're happy with their somebody else, there's always a point at which they won't be. If that person, you got to be the one who's there that's like, hey, if they drop the ball, if they fumble the football, I'm there to pick it up. Right.
right.
And that happens way more often than you would think. Right. I mean, just look at your own practice. Right. There are people that you have a great relationship with, and no matter what you do, they get pissed off.
Yeah,
Right. Maybe so they get upset, and we're saying, hey, cool. If you're on the flip side of that, where your competitors are doing this and they get pissed off and this and that, hey, you're the one they remember that gave that great referral right out of the
right.
gate, and you're the one that's continued to communicate. So they know who you are, they know how to communicate back with you, and they create this. So there's yeah, it's I think we've effectively established you need a damn list,
You
and
need a list.
everybody needs to
Yeah,
be on that list,
right.
right?
Everybody who contacts your firm needs to go on the list, whether you sign them or not,
Mhm.
whether you can help them or not. I put them all on the list, and then I start to communicate with them.
Yep.
And we push all those people too. Can we get them on Facebook and to add to our subscribers there? But they're still on the list no matter what, for text and email, and we can send stuff out. Once a month we do a communication with our list to everybody. That's usually like the holiday thing, right? And then
Yep.
we do a weekly newsletter to those to the list. The whole list gets it once a month, and I think part of the list gets it, every other week or so. It just depends on which category you're in. But our list
Mhm.
management is more sophisticated than somebody else might do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else could easily just categorize everybody as an A and put everybody on that list, and that's certainly a whole lot better than
No list,
not having a list, right? Yeah,
no email, no communication. Yeah. And well,
right.
it's and this, and I think, I mean, we could spend a lot of time going into like segments and tagging and what you and would want to ultimately do with the
Yeah.
list itself. But the key is right at establishing that you have it. Another good argument for why you want that list too, before we jump into tactic, because I do want to get there. But if you consider, especially if you have a social media presence, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, any of those things, you have this social media presence. There's something to very. You just have to understand this. You do not own those followers.
Mm,
So all the people that follow you on the social media, you don't own them. You're getting the privilege to broadcast. So, for example, if I go on Facebook right now and I post a post on the Legal Edge, it's the algorithm that's going to determine who of my followers actually sees it, right? So there's this delusion that we used to have. I think everybody's kind of over that now, that everyone's going to see what I post. Nope, not even close. It's like 1 or 2% of your followers actually see what you post. Okay, so that's already a big red flag. Yes, they follow you, but if you post 5 times a day, they might only see one or none that day, right?
right.
And so you're like, oh shoot, now let's change this. Let's say those same. Let's just give it a round small number, 500. So if you took 500 people that followed you and you did a post, now we go over to 500 people who you have a list. These are people that you have either a name or a phone number that you can communicate with. Here's the cool part. I understand open rates. Not everybody's going to, open the email or open the text, but you have the ability to put in front of 100% of those people your message. We go to social media, we go to the normal or all that stuff. I have 1 or 2% of them that are going to see it. I come to my email, I have 100% of them that is going to get in front of them. Now, if it's shitty content and you're doing bad emails, no different than shitty content on Facebook and bad emails, right? Not a lot of people engage or open it, but it's the idea that you now own the
Right.
list as opposed to control the list. I have a client that their Facebook and Instagram just got flagged. She doesn't know why, but she's got a decent following and she kind of relies on that for
Mm,
her lead source. And she got flagged and she's not allowed to post for 7 days. Can't even post. Can't post, can't comment, can't do anything. She still is trying to investigate to figure out what happened because she's not very controversial. So I'm not sure what happened either. It's kind
Well,
of
and
weird.
that's the
But
thing, right? It's some organization that controls that list now. They
yep,
can shut you down. They can throttle it.
just like
They
that.
can,
And you have no control. You have
no.
zero control over it. Zero control whatsoever. There was a woman that lives down the street from us. She ran a fitness company and she had about 300,000 followers on social media. And her account got deleted, completely deleted. She relied 100% on that social media platform. That was her only lifeblood. She had no list. She had no way of ownership. She only felt control over her followers, right? She could DM them and do different things, but it was wiped away in an instant. She had an expensive lifestyle. Her revenue stream dropped significantly because now all of a sudden she couldn't do anything that she had built her whole business around. And it's like, listen, I did this. If you had those people in a list, right? We had those people that said
Yeah.
yes, they raised their hand, and you had their contact. Now all of a sudden, so Facebook could say, "We're all done." Facebook could go away, and it just goes away. So, hey, Shane, are you still there?
I,
Or did I just lose
I'm
your
still
video?
here, but I don't know what is going on with my video. We were there and then I
Interesting.
wasn't. And I didn't change
Yeah,
anything
no,
either. So I gotta love technology, Trevor, is what I'm gonna say there.
it is our best friend. No worries, man. We'll just keep rolling.
Yeah.
I'll just be the only one on the
I was
screen,
just
so it's all good.
yeah, but that's just baffling to me. It won't let me switch, it won't let me turn it off, but it was all working and now it's not. So
Yeah, who knows? See, this is it. We have an app that we're using, right? That's putting all this together, and clearly it didn't work, and now we. So
uh
yeah, that doesn't really make sense
yeah,
for the
so
list, but it's all good. It's
needs to
all
go
good.
on your
So
list. Yeah, I mean 100%. Uh,
yeah, all of it, and that's the key. So as long as you establish that, now it comes into, um, when you have your list, what do you like? Let's go down the road of a little bit more tactics, right? When you're communicating with the list that you have, right? We established we have one. We found a way to get them. Let's people come in, they call in, however they're getting to you right now with your firm, Shane. What is kind of the process, the thought process, and some of the execution inside of the way you're communicating? Like, what kind of messages are you sending them? Are you just always sending them a message saying, "Hey, sign up with me, sign up with
no,
me, sign up with me. Give me your money, give me your money, give me your
yeah,
money."
most of the time we don't actually do much of that at all. Most of the time it's feel good stuff, right? Like we talk about holidays, thank our veterans, things like that. And so that's our, holiday text and email
Mhm.
communication. And then we do a newsletter. Like I say, our big communication device is our newsletter that we send out. And our newsletter talks about contests we're doing, giveaways, right? And that promotes engagement. But then also we talk about just what's going on in my life and with pictures
Right.
and photos so that it makes me a little bit more like a real person to our
Yeah.
clientele versus just some random lawyer, right? So it humanizes
Yeah.
me and keeps them in there. Now obviously it's also great to have key things that are important in your space a little bit, but I tell lawyers, let's go a little light on that. Most lawyers want to be like 80-90% on some legal thing on the car accident space or bankruptcy space or whatever, and most of our clients, nobody wants to read that garbage, not even lawyers do.
Yeah.
um, that you want something that's entertainment. You got to remember the purpose of this is to entertain people at least a little bit. Uh, we
Yeah.
talk about my dog.
Yeah.
Pictures of that. That's a huge thing. The dog, my kids, what's going on in my family. All those things.
Yeah. Well, I think another way of use, because I agree, entertainment, and another way of saying kind of the same thing is you got to add value.
Yeah.
Right? Your initial thing inside of it, it could be an entertainment value, it could be knowledge value that's relevant to them, to your list, whatever the segment is, right? So, if what and make it relative to what it is that you do, right? What you would ultimately end up having them hired for, right? But it's creating value, right? We don't what ends up becoming, you don't want to become, I love this phrase, but you become an asshole,
Yeah.
right? ASKHOLE, ASKhole, right? Where you're the person that's always asking for something. People pick up on that real quick. Here's a rule of thumb. If you want to grow your list, don't ask for anything. Because the second you start asking for something, it is inarguable. There are statistical facts that back this up in every way possible. I'm not going to give them to you now, but just know you can go do your own research if you want to, if you don't believe me. But the second you ask for something, you will stunt growth.
Yeah.
Now, this is if all you're trying to do is grow a list, well, then don't ask for anything. That doesn't really work if we're also running a business, right? So you have to ask. So then it becomes, what is the frequency? When do you ask for something, right? For example, the realtor who could have had me on a list, if all she did was send me an email all the time saying, "Hey, do you want to hire me as your realtor?" And I'm not even I'm not even looking for a house. I'm going to unsubscribe from that list. I'm going to be like, this is stupid shit. Stop emailing me. And then 3, 4 years might go by and I forget her name. Still. So even with a list, if she abused the list and became an ASKhole and just kept asking, right? So I think that that's the first step really in with your list is what value can you provide for them, right? And how do you provide that value inside of this form of email or text, right? I think text has become, I mean, it's 2025. That is definitely the most effective. It's
It is.
more effective, but that doesn't mean email's not effective, right? We have campaigns that run right now that we're getting 45% open rates on an email. So people say, hey, emails are outdated. And I've heard this from marketers. People are like, yeah, we don't really do the email thing anymore. And I'm like, you're ridiculous. I'm like, you're lazy and you don't know how to write an email that's compelling, that adds value, right? That's really what it comes down to. So it's add value first. What do you guys do, Shane, at Shane Smith Law in frequency of ask? Like, is there ever an ask? Do you ever ask, or are you
So
all just 100% in on growing a
so
list?
our ask is more subtle than just a, hey, if you're in a wreck, call us, right? And we may, I'm
Right.
sure we put that on some things. I mean, we put our tagline, in a wreck, in pain, call Shane, right? So that's on everything anyway. So it's pretty clear, in a wreck, call Shane. In a wreck, in
Yeah.
pain, call Shane. But also our ask is, hey, these are some interesting cases we're working on, or these are some case results we just got for somebody, and you describe the plaintiff so that they're like that person, right? So so they're a
Right.
human being, not just some random person, right? If you only talk about this monstrous win in our space, like somebody who was uh, maimed by a tractor trailer, that doesn't identify with our regular person in a regular wreck. So it's important to talk
Yeah.
about what you're able to do with the client you're seeking. Now, I would love to have you know, 50 people who are hit by big rigs and maimed by them. That would be a great client base, but that's not most people's client base. Those are,
Right.
one or two a year, maybe four a year at top. I mean, so you want to describe people that are similar to them and talk about their wins, right? And what you're able to do with them. That's one way. Another way is interesting cases we're working on. So it just gets people thinking about, oh, wow, they're able to help a bunch of people. Oh, I know Betty Sue down the street who's got a similar situation. I've even done, sometimes these are people we were able to find some legal help for, right? So it's not even people we kept inside the firm, but we're able to help by others, right? We're able to contact them, the
Yeah.
family lawyer, a custody lawyer, things like that, to get you thinking, oh, Shane knows a lot of people, I should call him, right? Those are the
Yeah.
ideas there. The most blatant ask we do is probably we ask for submissions on like our teacher of the month when we were running those
Mhm.
contests, and we would donate like $100 or $500 or something to a local teacher. So we would ask for recommendations
Oh, that's very cool.
for that, and that usually got some business, obviously. We I think we did nurses or first responders one time too. We've definitely done fire departments. Um, like right around the Christmas or the holiday times, I think we asked for recommendations there. Um,
Mhm.
and then our other,
I want
go ahead.
to, before you go on, I want to point something out, Shane, which I actually am freaking loving because it's illustrating the point perfectly. It's like if you're dating someone or you're not dating someone, you see a stranger and you're at the bar, whatever, you see this woman over. Since I'm a man, obviously I know we got women that listen too, but I'm a man, so I'm gonna talk this way. So I see a woman over there. I can't just walk up to her and say, hey, do you want to get married? Let's go get married, right? Even if she's beautiful, I'm attractive, no, it's not going to happen, right? There's like a million micro steps that exist before I would be asking for her hand in marriage, right? But what ends up happening in when you start communicating with your list is you try to get the client or the potential client, we'll call it the lead, you try to get the lead from point A to point Z. You, Shane, what you've illustrated, which I think is awesome, you got them to give micro yeses. What's crazy is they don't realize this is happening. They think they're just saying yes to the teachers. They're like, yes, I want to sponsor this teacher. But what they are actually subconsciously doing is they're saying yes to Shane Smith Law. They don't realize it. And these micro yeses, when it comes time for the big question to pop the question, do you want to get in a marriage, i.e., hire me as your attorney? You've already they have your lead has already said yes to you dozens of times before that point.
Yeah.
So by the time they get to the jump to hire you, it's a very small jump. You're not taking them from, hey, I just got in a wreck, I don't know who to trust, to, oh, I just got in a wreck. It's a simple call. I know this guy. He helps the community. He does all these things. I have a connection and a relationship, which is wild because you don't actually personally know them,
Right.
but you got them you took them along the way. You seduced them, is a word I like to use. You seduced them across this process, which then got them and led them to the big yes. Right. So I think this is critical because part of adding value is also driving engagement. If your emails don't ever drive engagement, meaning you don't have anything that you're giving them that they actually need to do, that they need to participate in, or you don't give them a reason to, it's not something they care about, right? It's unrelated to that. Then you have this list that is going to stay a cold list. You've created no interconnection there between the two of them. So that's a mistake a lot of people will make with a list is they won't do these micro yeses, these little things, which seems weird because in your mind you're like, well, how is helping the teacher, how's sponsoring this teacher, giving this teacher this money and getting how is that going to lead to? It's not a clear in your mind logically. It's not a very clear connection to that's going to lead to money for a law firm, right? If you just look at it from the surface, but once you start to understand how this actually works and how marketing works and how why the list is so important and such an important part of the intake process that I talked about at the
Yeah.
beginning of today's show, right? Where we had the 2 full shows on it. Like once you start to see this, you're like, oh my goodness, it's like a living
It
organism.
definitely
It's
is.
exciting. Like this type of thing is like to me, it's the funnest part of business just because you're going to be creative, you're going to be crafty, and you're going to do all these things. But yeah, so it comes. You have to have that micro ask, and occasionally you can go for the big. I love Gary V. Right, he talks about this jab, 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 right
Yeah.
hook, right, and so that big right hook, you can occasionally go for the right hook, and if you have nurtured your list, right, and you have added value and you've done all this, when you do the right hook, people are not put off.
Yeah.
People don't, they're not like, oh, what is this dude, right? You're not an asshole. You're not somebody who's just been asking, 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 asking. They feel like, oh, he never asks for anything. What's interesting is people will actually start to feel in debt to you because they are consuming value from you, but they know they've never paid you. There is a karmic debt that exists there, and people, whether they can consciously or subconsciously identify it, it happens. So when you come for the ask, there's actually a moral, an intangible moral obligation for them to take some form of an action you're asking them to take, right? Because they've received all this value from you, right? And so it's a very, I don't know, it's a very interesting world when you start to look at what you can do with these lists. We've got a client that I'm working with him for now maybe 6 months or so. Well, one of my very first meetings with him, I'm like, "What do you do with your list?" And he looked at me with doe
Yeah.
eyes. He just looked at, and he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I knew as soon as he asked that, I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm like, never mind. Do you have a list? Well, when you say list, what do you mean? He's like, I'm like, so when people sign up with you or you market to them and they give you what's happening with all that information? And he's like, oh, well,
Yep.
nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh, bro. Okay, we got a great opportunity in front of us for this, which is awesome,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's something to be aware of, especially if you're a solo attorney, right? It's just you and you're doing your thing. There's most people are not doing this. What we're talking about right here, if you were to take anything we've ever said in any podcast that we've ever done, and you were to just implement what we're talking about right here, and just establishing a list with anyone you get contact information from, start to create value and nurture, your firm will grow in a way you can't even understand. And so many people don't do this because it's not low hanging fruit,
And,
because it's not a sale today.
right.
You're not going to sell them today off of it. And so if you're in this mindset of I gotta eat today, well then the thing that's going to feed you in 6 months you won't do. And that's a big problem, right? Shane, is that
That's a.
how did you guys make the transition? Because did you always have
I
a
mean,
list? Did you always know this was
yeah, we
important?
we pretty much I would say almost. I don't want to say day one, but certainly in the first 6 months, started our list. Um, and we start and part of it's because when I opened the firm, I reached out to all the business contacts I had, right? So I had that list on
Mm.
the business side. Um, so I didn't reach out to former clients because they were the other firm's clients, right? But I reached out to all my
Right.
business
Could do that.
contacts and said, "Hey, I'm starting my own place." And on the personal injury side, we kept that list immediately because honestly, I'd read a bunch of marketing stuff at that point when I was thinking about opening my firm. So I was lucky in that somebody I was talking to said, if you're starting your own firm, go. These are like the first three books you ought to read, right? And one of those books talked a lot about lists and where the value was there because as a lawyer, if you're ever going to sell your practice, right? So there's two reasons here. One is, new clients as you go along, right? The long play. But then two, if you're going to sell your firm, it's a much different saying, hey, these are the 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 people we regularly have communication with who are on our list and we clean our list every 2 years or 3 years. And, we've got this asset here that's above and beyond a normal law firm that has
Yeah.
no client base. And then you can explain your communication rhythm and how often you talk to them. So, and it's a huge asset. I mean, it's an asset for marketing. It's an asset for selling your firm. So we had one from day one almost, but like I say, I was recommended a couple books when I first started and read it, and they were like list, 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 list. One of the people I read, he was like, "That's the biggest, most important thing you got in the firm," and I was like, "Well, holy cow, I don't know that I believe that, but uh, let me
Right.
start the thing." But that comes up to your communication rhythm, and this is an
Yeah.
issue. What I see lawyers do is when they get into this, they buy into the list concept. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to communicate with my list every week forever," right? And the problem is sometimes that communication gets hard, right? And it gets tough and
Yeah.
it's not that much fun. And then pretty soon they go from a week to every 2 weeks to every 3 weeks to 4 or 5, and it gets more and more sporadic and then it's not effective. And I tell
Yeah.
people I would rather you start smaller, like once a month, and
Mm.
work your way up to once a week versus start at once a week and then burn out and go to once a month or even, quit doing it. So
Yeah.
establishing that
Yeah.
rhythm.
And yeah, and it's super important. And it doesn't matter. It's just
Right.
consistency.
It doesn't matter when.
Whatever it is, do that thing. Yeah. And if you don't have, and a lot of people do this, and I agree with you, they come gung ho out of the gate, right? They're like, oh, I'm so excited. So they're like, I'm going to post, or I'm going to send an email. I'm going to send a text, every 3 days, and I'm going to create most value. And I'm going to spend 3 hours writing an email and all of this. And yeah, you end up burning out. Here's the reality too. And I know we got to address this because AI, right? Chat GPT, Grok, all these large language models that will now basically write your emails for you. Here's what I'm going to caution you. I'm going to give you a cautionary tale. I don't know if this will change, so this is definitely not an evergreen statement. But as of today, of the recording of this show, AI, it's you can tell,
Yeah.
right? Meaning, if your heart and soul is not into the email or the communication that you're giving, and because there's a lot of people that do this, and I know it. I get emails from them, and I can. It's the most obvious thing in the world, and it's literally, I get an email from them, and I'm in about 2 seconds, I'm like, they did not write this. I'm like, I know they didn't write it because I'm like, it's not personal. It has there's a different feel
Yeah.
to it. So the caution I have for you guys, because there's been, it's like, well, why would I can just let AI write all my emails? Because you can go to Chat GPT and you can say, write me a 10 email sequence for da 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 and go, and it'll write you 10 emails. Doesn't mean they're 10 good ones. It doesn't mean they have a good hook. It doesn't mean that's going to get you where you actually want to go. There is no personal touch to it. There's none of these things. So unless you're going to become an AI expert and you're going to go take training courses on how to use this, or you're going to hire someone on your team to go do this, what I would highly recommend is ChatGPT is great for helping you write an email, but it's not going to replace you from writing an email,
Right.
right? You will, because everybody can go do that right now. Everyone has access to ChatGPT. So in your communication, realizing the personal touch will be the differentiator. Like Shane, when you share about your dogs, for example,
Yeah.
right? That's a personal
A hundred
touch. When
percent.
you
Yeah.
share about
I mean,
Yeah, anything that's just about you. When I share things right now about moving from the island of Hawaii to basically being, what do they call those, a freaking vagabond? I don't even have a house right now. I'm trying to figure out, right. So now I'm a vagabond to our new home that we're that hopefully we close on. Like all of that, when I share things about that and lessons there, and then I add value as to the things there, well, that's personal. So that's all of a sudden me. Now, can Chat GPT help me put some of the frameworks together? Maybe. Yeah, it can take some of the busy work away. So what it does is it takes my ability to be personal and makes me more efficient, which is almost laughable if you are listening to this right now and you do not constantly communicate to people, to your leads, to your list. If you do not do that, there's almost no excuse for you other than you just aren't doing it.
Right.
Right. And maybe you don't know you need to do it. So, okay, well, if you're listening to this, now you know you need to do it. And there's plenty of other places that are telling you you need to do the same
I was
thing.
gonna say
So now,
that's
yeah,
that's that's the action item I want to leave people with today, Trevor, is just start now. Don't and
yep,
I meet too many lawyers who, when they buy into the list, they're like, okay, I got to go back through everybody I ever represented, and they start this massive project before they can communicate. Don't do that. Just start now. Current clients in the firm, and then from now forward, tell your team add everybody to the list, and just go forward. It's
yep,
great if you want to work yourself backwards, but don't make it this huge problem to solve before you can ever communicate. Just start today, and then in the next 30 days, communicate with them once, and that's my
yep.
action item.
And if it's 10 people, then it's 10
Yeah,
people. It doesn't matter. Like this is where because Shane, you're throwing out the numbers which I know are real for you and your firm, right? 20, 50, 100,000. So, but if you don't have that, it doesn't mean it's not worth
no,
it. It means to just do where you're at right now, and you can build and not build on it. We had one final thing I'll say on this. There's a client I'm working with, and she has spent not a ton, but $2,500. So that might be a lot to you, a little to you. It depends on what you're doing. And all of that money was spent just to generate a list, right? So I don't think it's much money at all. But she's got almost 1,000 emails now on this list. $2,500, 1,000 emails. She hasn't made any money off of them. Not a single penny has been made. She's generating a list. She's kind of in panic mode. This is her first time experiencing and going down this, and she's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm chomping at the bit, looking at her and saying, listen, you don't understand what is happening. I understand that. So just trust the process and realize this list is going to be worth millions to you. But we're just at the very beginning stages of creating this list so that you can then utilize it and now work on everything that we talked about in today's show.
yeah,
So, yeah, just get started. Don't overcomplicate it. And don't worry about, because this is another thing you get wrapped up into automation, right? You're like, I want this to be systematized and automatized. And if it's just you or it's you and one team member and you guys are not experts in this, you could spend the next 2 weeks trying to figure out how to automate the sequence of when someone comes into a lead and how do you zap them over to this your CRM, which will then send them to the SMS message and make sure that they're linked to your web, all
yeah.
these things. Like there's so many ways you can confuse yourself. Don't confuse yourself. Meaning, if that's not your skill set, don't worry about it right now. Just send an email manually. Like, just send it. Like, if you got to insist, if it's just you, just write the email that's going to go to your whole group. Go into your email list, hit the BCC so that not everybody's email shows up. Copy and paste them from your freaking CRM and throw them in there if you don't even, hell, if you don't even have a CRM, copy them and paste them from
Excel.
wherever.
Yeah, Excel.
Like, just do it. Yeah, it just make it the most. It doesn't have to be complex. Empires are built by basic, simple actions towards the end result. Don't measure yourself on somebody like Shane or somebody like me who has been doing this for a very long time, and we have all these systems built. When I first started lists, it was all manual. It was one on one. When I would send text messages to people, it was with my actual cell phone, and I would punch in their phone number and send. And I did it to every single person. Okay, some of you might say, well, that seems kind of inefficient. Well, it helped build my empire.
Oh,
So
we did
I don't
mail
know that I
merge
would say
on
it's
Word.
inefficient.
Yeah, we did mail merge on, I
Yep.
think, Word or Excel. Merged it all in for our letters. So
Yep.
just simple
Yep.
start.
Yep. Just start. So that's a simple call to action, but if you'll do it, I can promise you, you're not going to see some massive turn tomorrow. But this is the foundation, just like everything we talk about. This is the foundation that's going to get you where it is that you want to go. And speaking on the foundation, we've got a free training over at legaledgecoaching.com. on the intake system and on how to create this foundation, how to really get started. Some of the key things you need to put in place. We dive into it. It's free. We don't need anything from you. Just go over there, put your info in, and we'll send it over to you so you have access to it. And this is what we do all day long with other attorneys just like you, and helping you get these little systems, these little routines, these little processes in place. Not from theory, but from what's actually been done, right? Nothing that Shane says, nothing that I say is something that we have not tried. If I tell you to do something and I haven't tried it, first of all, I won't tell you to do it. So just know anything I'm telling you is it's what we've learned through decades combined experience of how to do this and how to actually build it to where it is that you want to build. Build everything, you build your whole firm and really build your life. So, and as always, if you got value from today's show, go ahead and share this show up. Give us a like and subscribe. We appreciate it. It's the only way this show grows. We don't run ads on the show. We're just here to add value to you. So, that being said, Shane, you got any final thoughts before we
No, it's
wrap?
just start today. Current clients and then everybody who contacts you from now on. Don't make it more complicated than that.
All right, beautiful. Appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Go crush it. Get that list created and send your first email today. Have a great night.